Right, welcome to another special edition of the Pro Football Doc podcast. This is our Mother's Day edition and a special appearance here by my wife, Kim Chao, and mom to Davis, Dylan, and Devin, and to Cosmo, who we're in the home studio, so Cosmo has a visit here. Thanks for joining us. We'll see how long Kim has here, but we'll do the first segment as a guest segment, and then we'll do the rundown and cover a lot of different things from judging the draft to LeBron James to draft situations and so forth. But we're doing this special Mother's Day edition before Mother's Day, as a reminder to all follows and to myself that, Mother's Day is coming on Sunday. Usually the podcast gets released on Mondays. And so we're 6 days before Mother's Day. So fair warning to everybody out there, Mother's Day.
And you realize that the mall has modified hours.
Oh, yeah. Modified hours at the mall, public service.
Yeah, so they close earlier, so don't wait till the last minute where you're rushing into some janky store that I don't want anything from. And I have to act like I like it because you're like, oh, the kids gave it to you. I don't want it. Don't waste your time.
Well, I think I'm set because you always like coming on the podcast here. We're making an annual Mother's Day event. So happy Mother's Day. The floor is yours.
This is not my Mother's Day yet.
Why not?
It's
something you want to do. It's something that you like.
It's something I was asked to do.
Time during the day here, quality time during the day here.
That's unusual. That part's true.
Yeah. So happy Mother's Day. We're good, right?
Yeah.
Well, if you didn't get this fabulous Mother's Day gift, what other Mother's Day gift would you suggest for everyone out there or yourself for next year?
Oh, well, I think most moms just want a little day off, like a break, They want the dad to put the dishes in the dishwasher and manage the kids, if there's any fighting between the kids, like, refereeing the fighting and without being asked. Just normal things. Just felt special. Brunch is nice. Yeah. Homemade cards are always fabulous.
Yeah. We have a dishwasher.
Exactly. My point exactly. Can show you where that is.
Well, last year the podcast episode was fairly popular. You liked it. So
seems like a long time ago that we did that.
Seems like 10 minutes.
Yeah, like underwater.
Yes.
Seems like, yeah.
So I can go into other things, but the floor is yours. What do you want to talk about?
Oh, I'm open. You ask me. I'm the guest.
You're the guest?
Yeah.
Well, what do you want to say? What do you want to say? What do you want to push? What do you want to do?
I don't know what to say. I feel like football season felt like kind of a blur with kids and, pandemic management of things felt a little bit blur. So I'm not sure I caught any football games or any of your stuff. Hate to say it, but take a gander at Twitter once in a while.
But you're the Pro Football Doc inspiration.
Yeah, I am. Yeah. You remind everyone of how that started, or would you like me to?
Let's hear your version.
Well, I think it started the first year you stopped working with the Chargers, and we were sitting with our kids on the couch watching football for the first time ever together. It was almost the last time too, because this thing happened pretty quickly. And you were commenting on multiple injuries, and a lot of announcers suggested what the injury was. And you're like, no, that's wrong. It's going to be this. No, that's wrong. It's going to be this. And at some point I got sick of hearing it. And I said, you need to tell it to someone who cares, not me. And I suggested you get on Twitter and start ranting and raving about the injuries. And that kind of organically started. And here we are.
Now, why is it that I tell a very similar story? Mm-hmm. And I literally say, you give me credit. You turn to me saying, tell it to someone who cares. But when I tell the same story, you kind of get mad at me, but you're telling the same story.
That's how it always happened. But it wasn't like just, I was like, hun, what you should do, you play me out to be like this snarky, like wife that's like always like, and I'm not. You just like, you like to tell that story. And more was like, why don't you do,
Yeah, what your quote was, tell it to someone who cares.
Yeah.
And I didn't say you said
Well,
it
and then
meanly,
we then created that, I created your Twitter account for you on your phone. You didn't know how to do it. And that old picture, which was like a yellow background with the stethoscope over the football. I mean, I just randomly found that on
what you asked
the
me,
internet. And
what-
I don't like, I mean, well, I hope there wasn't any copyright infringements or anything, because I don't know. We didn't know what we were doing. And we were just like two
well,
people
first
on.
of all, you wanted like, here, let me take your picture. I'm like, no, I don't want my picture on the avatar.
Yeah.
He said, what do you want? I said, well, it's football and medicine. So a football and a stethoscope. And of course, as an orthopedist, I basically don't use a stethoscope.
No, you don't.
And if you go back to the old days on that Twitter avatar that was selected out of what you found out the internet, the stethoscope was broken. One half of the bell wasn't even screwed on.
Oh, on the picture?
On the picture, but
I don't even know.
whatever.
Yeah.
I mean, it's perfectly fine. So now we moved on. She's the inspiration here. So I want to talk a little bit here. I got a question for you.
Oh.
Okay. So this is a question that I've been asked and whatever.
Yeah.
Our son Davis is now 8.
Uh-huh.
Dylan twin is 8 as well, obviously, and the little one just turned 4. Davis is doing a lot of sports now, kind of making up for lost time with the pandemic stuff.
Yeah.
So
and one, he also just when he was younger, when he was 5 and 6, he just didn't seem that interested in sports. And we kind of were like, okay, we're kind of going to let him drive this. So I guess a little advice, and other people gave me that advice. If you think your 5 or 6-year-old isn't so into sports like other kids, don't give up on it yet, because now we're to the point where the kid's asking to play catch and go watch every sport and do a ton of sports all the time. So anyways, we were slower moving with that. And now, I mean, now he's interested in everything. So, just whatever, throw that out there. I think sometimes, you're like, oh boy, I'm going to have a kid that's not into sports. The verdict doesn't need to be out at 5 years old or 6 years old, I guess.
Yeah. And if you really get down to it, this is him now. He's so into sports and football that he was excited in his Patrick Mahomes gear watching the draft.
Oh yeah,
all night. So he's very into it at this point in time. But here's my question to you. A couple years ago, you made a definitive statement to me. Davis is not going to play football. And I've been asked a lot different and said, would you let your son play football?
Yeah.
And my answer was a couple of years ago, I don't have to answer that question right now.
Yeah.
I would tell him, and then tell what I tell other families, look, if he likes another sport as much as he likes football, not just for head injury, but for ACLs and other injuries, I probably would steer him away from tackle football. That was my answer a couple of years ago. My mind has changed a little bit.
Yeah.
And so for you, he loves flag football. He's playing flag football now.
Yeah.
And during the pandemic, there was a little pod that practiced together. And we're 3rd and 4th graders mostly. He's a 2nd grader.
Yeah. Nice dads holding it together.
Yeah. And it was great because he got to be the quote backup quarterback.
Sure.
And of course, the starting quarterback is the coach's son.
He's a good athlete.
And he's a good athlete.
Deserving.
And Davis loved practices because guess what? He got a lot of time at quarterback because when they were working on the defense, he got to play quarterback. He didn't realize he was scout team quarterback. He thought, I get a lot of playing time at quarterback.
That's right.
Now that the leagues are starting, and we probably should have put him in a 1st and 2nd grade league. They're playing in the Drew Brees FNA thing out here.
Yeah.
And so he's against 3rd and 4th graders. And actually this past weekend on Friday, we played Drew's 2nd son, who's in 4th grade.
Yeah.
A very well-coached team.
Yeah.
Drew's there and we got slaughtered.
Well, yeah. And I mean, but we had and then when Davis is in the game, I mean, I think he came up to maybe the nipples on a lot of those boys. I mean, you can't change the fact that he's 60 pounds and
he's in 2nd grade. And Drew's team was better. I mean, the whole well coached it. But I did get a dirty look from Drew.
Oh, because you were stealing
No, guys. Okay. it's
Stealing signs.
stealing signs. No, if he's flashing signs, that's stealing signs.
You were Bill Belichicking the game a little bit. Just kidding.
No, they were clearly running a zone all day. And then we gained some yardage and we're close to a first down. And I'm standing on the sidelines. I'd been talking to Drew, and Drew says to his coach, "Hey, coach, should we go Tigers here?" Basically switching to a man. I mean, then they start yelling out, "Tigers, Tigers, Tigers." They only play two types of defense, a basic zone and a man-to-man. Everyone gets up on the line of scrimmage and points to who they're covering. And as our coach was in the huddle, they were, Breeze and his coach were yelling, "Tigers, Tigers" to the kid. I yelled to our coach, "Man defense, man defense." And Drew looked at me like, "You're stealing signs," and he was laughing too. But I was like, "But look, we didn't change our play call. They're third graders, whatever." And anyways, he's loving football, maybe because he sees dad do football.
Totally.
And
why, but yeah.
Would you let him play tackle football?
So here's the okay. Yes.
Ooh.
If he really, really wanted to, and here's why I'm saying yes. I mean, like you and I both played college sports. Like we were okay. Like you were better than me. We're okay. And like our kids are athletic and they're okay, but they're no superstars. Like no one's getting a D1 scholarship out of our house. Like it's just not happening no matter what. And so I think that, I don't know, maybe because there's not a chance he'd play any type of college football, not a chance he'd play any football after that. So, I mean, what's the harm in a little bit of high school football? Also, I mean, unless something major changes, our kids are not like those animal kids that have no fear. They're very cautious. And so, I mean, Davis ain't diving his head across the line and banging it up. Like he just is not that kid. Like, he might, if he plays high school football, he'll probably be a quarterback or like a backup quarterback. You know what I mean? He's like,
I think he
that
loves,
kind of kid.
I think
he's smart. He loves the plays, but
he loves the plays. He loves to be part of the team.
He is not taking anyone out.
He's gonna love the uniform.
Yeah.
He's gonna love to run through the tunnel on Friday night.
Yeah.
He's gonna love to hang out with friends.
Yeah.
He's not gonna love the contact.
No,
at least right now. But he's 8.
He's 8, whatever. I mean, I want to try a lot of other sports. There's lots of other sports. Water polo is great, and there's a lot of other things that. So I mean, whatever. But I think if he really wanted to, I think like the more advanced we get in our parenting, you realize that like you got to let them drive what they want to do. Otherwise, it's not successful. It's not fun. And so they choose to do something. My big thing is you need to put in the work, and I don't want. When we do a lot of activities, but there's no complaining about any activity. So
usually in the podcast, we talk about some good things, but today we broke some news. Mrs. Pro Football Doc will let her son
probably
play high school football. That's different. We've never had that conversation.
Well, if it's even around, then.
If it's even around, it'll be around. But the one thing that I've changed over the years since I have the kids, what I see around here in San Diego, La Jolla, whatever, is kids sports are where it's at, right? I mean, like if you look at, I'm on this sports commission thing in San Diego and so forth. A lot of the sports travel industry is huge. The complex in Orlando, whether it's for cheerleading or travel baseball or travel volleyball or soccer clubs and whatever. Parents are putting in a lot of time in kids, and it's good for them. But my worry is like nowadays, it's very hard to make a high school team. Like freshman year, and I want to play, and let's try and play the sport. It doesn't work that way. You have to have been playing it in the clubs, be it soccer or volleyball or baseball or basketball. And the only sports that you could, correct me if I'm wrong, that you could just walk on and make the team are cross country and track and field. But they're not truly, team sports in the traditional sense. You can't make the swim team say, I'm here the first time I'm swimming, or water polo. You can't just say, well, I'm going to try it and try and play. Lacrosse, you can't even. You have to have done something, although it's not as hard as some sports. But football is actually a sport that currently doesn't really cut anybody.
Because they need players.
They need players. Now, you may not see playing time, but pretty much at the high school level, if you sign up to play football, you make the team, which is probably the only main team sport that has that right now. Rugby is growing a little bit here.
That's just kind of how we feel. I mean, we don't have a high schooler right now, and
well, that's what I see. And so that's an advantage of, I mean, look, I think team sports is great for high schoolers.
Yeah.
Look, I want my son and daughter to feel a part of something when they're seniors and have memories to celebrate. They don't need to score the winning touchdown or win the cheer trophy or soccer trophy, whatever they're doing.
Yeah.
I just want them to feel part of something. And so I don't know. So that's a big change. You'll let them play football. That's interesting.
Yeah, we'll see. No, I would if he was really into it.
Maybe we should talk more often. I didn't know that. Oh. Just joking.
Can I, as the show's producer, can I jump in and ask what if he shows a disposition towards wanting to be on the team training staff and take immediately after dad and be the athletic trainer in training in high school?
No.
Well,
no, that's okay.
Well, if he wants to be the team trainer or be a manager or something, that's his way to be part of the team.
I wasn't down on that. I was more down on the idea of him being like a doctor or something.
Well,
I guess.
But I will say, and I'll say this to all athletic trainers out there, especially in California, athletic training is not a great career. It may be very satisfying, and I'm very supportive of athletic trainers. But nowadays you have to get basically a master's. It's a lot of hours and a lot of time. And there are no real jobs out here because in California, there's no real certification. So you're no different as an ATC than anybody else. I mean, one of the stories I always told, and we looked at legislation in California, James Collins, who was a longtime head athletic trainer with the San Diego Chargers that I worked with, he could treat LT and Drew Brees and Phillip Rivers because it was a private situation. But if he worked in a therapy clinic, he'd have to have a physical therapist over the top of him, and even a PTA, although it's less time to get a PTA, they get certification. And so in California, it's a long and tough road, and I don't think it's necessarily fair for athletic trainers. And that's why we do the foundation stuff, San Diego Sports Medicine. We try and help athletic trainers. But it is, Christian is a producer, it is a tough road to hoe as an athletic trainer. But the good news is it can give you lots of job satisfaction, and it can be very rewarding. And I think that's upsides. But in terms of a real career, I mean, all the athletic trainers that are out here, most of them are teachers and then do athletic training on the side. That's their way to be able to make a living. You can't make a living on a, couple $1,000 stipend to cover the football season. It doesn't work that way. So yes, he can go have fun at it, but I don't know that I would want that as the ultimate career for him, because it's a long road to hoe. I'd actually be more anti-athletic trainer for a career based in California, based on the current circumstances, than I would about him playing football. I mean, because I think it'll be self-selecting. If he doesn't like the contact, he won't go into contact, and he'll be okay. Now, a podcast producer is a whole different story, Christian. Anyways, with that, let's take a break. ProFootball.podcast. We'll come back for part 2, and we'll do the regular rundown. And part of this is I'm curious because I just realized that my wife doesn't even listen or watch any of the podcasts, really. I
don't know where, and maybe this is the last thing for your Mother's Day thing. I don't know where what do you think I'm doing all day? I mean, it's a lot to manage 3 children, and I have a job too. I also work.
Well, my point being, I got a few glares, and we're a little later recording today. Sorry, Christian, because my wife said, wait, there's a camera and there's video. I'm like, yeah, we've been doing this way for the last year.
I just got home from yoga, and I was like sweaty as head to toe, red face, and you're like, yeah, shop on the camera. So what do you do now?
Welcome to my world. Anyways, we'll argue it out or discuss it out at the break. Quick break from the Pro Football Doc podcast.